start. Just feel free and eat and get up and use the restrooms are right down this little hallway here, over here. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We are just absolutely overwhelmed with the response of women who want to start businesses. But what I want to get out of today is the connections that we are going to make with each other. Women supporting women. Women entrepreneurs supporting women. That's what I want to get out of this today. How many of you here today have been in business over three years or so? Raise your hand. The rest of you, look, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. The rest of you, look at these women with their hands up. They want to connect with you. They want to learn from you just as much as you want to learn from them. I was just telling Rebecca Hauser today, there's not a day that goes by that I'm talking to Kelly Perry that I'm not learning some new resource or something that's going to save me money over at the liquor store or the H-Bar Suites or something, right? So there's always something that we can learn from each other. So there's a technical word for it. A lot of people call it mentoring. We can call it. Guys, we call it whatever you want to call it, but I call it making connections and supporting each other because that's what women need to do. We're not threats, we're not competition, we are supporting one another. Bailey Lyons, where's she at? One of my biggest supporters is Bailey Lyons. She'll just send me a text message. Hey, thinking about you today. Hey, you're doing a great job. That's all you need to hear some days, right? Okay, so moving on. I want to give some big thank yous. We were recently awarded the Rural Business Development Grant through USDA, which is what's made a large portion of this event possible. This is also, that grant is matched through our Blue Cross Blue Shield Pathways to Healthy Kansas grant because poverty is a driver of poor health outcomes. So we are addressing poverty by providing opportunity to financial stability and building wealth and income. We also want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and also the Chamber of Commerce's e-community, the Network Kansas funds, because of that, we're able to provide childcare. We wanted to remove any of the obstacles we could think of that would prevent women from coming to our event tonight. Let's see here. We also want to give a big thanks to Sharky's for the food. We have crazy things that, with our catering, because it's grant funded, that has to be loopholes that we go through on the kind of food and the different options that we need to provide. So David Black over at Sharky's is always very gracious with us and takes care of that. I want to thank Bill Michaud with the Empress Event Center for providing the space tonight. He's also very easy to work with and great. Our collaboration that we have that we'll be able to talk about tonight is called the Center for Economic Growth. It's a program from the Healthy Bourbon County Action Team. Well, let me back up a little bit, right? I'm Jody Hayner with the President and CEO of the Healthy Bourbon County Action Team. And so that collaboration is made up of the Community College, the Chamber of Commerce, PSU Small Business Development Center, Kansas Works, and the Healthy Bourbon County Action Team that is addressing poverty and providing opportunity for employment growth, job stability, and financial stability. All right. So without further ado, I think that's everything that was on my list here. I want to introduce you to Lindsay Madison. She is the President and CEO of the Fort Scott Area Chamber of Commerce and is an event specialist. I always like, anytime I'm doing an event, I'm always like, Lindsay's on my team. So she can like throw it out of just like out of the air. I don't know how she does it. So it wears me out. So anyway, Lindsay's going to be our MC tonight, and I'll let Lindsay take it away.
Well, welcome everyone. We are super excited to have all of you. We are just ecstatic about the turnout tonight for our first event and look forward to each quarter as it comes up going forward over the next year. So like she said, I'm Lindsay Madison. I'm the President and CEO of our Fort Scott Area Chamber of Commerce. If you don't know what that is, we're in the brick building just down the hill here. But our mission is to support commerce, build community, and promote spirit in Fort Scott, Bourbon County, and the surrounding area. So we're all about connections as well. So anything, you know, if you're already in business or thinking about getting in business, we are a partner there to support you as well in addition to the other entities that she mentioned. So feel free to stop by anytime. I know I already collaborate with a lot of you, several people here that are on our board, Bailey and Angela. Where's Angela hiding back there? Anybody else I might be missing? Board members, that we have a 15-member board and they're board members of the chamber. So so feel free to holler at me anytime or stop by. We'd love to help you out. And as she mentioned, our e-community, one of the things that we're able to do within the past couple of years is also provide funding. So through our e-community, which is a locally administered program through our chamber board, we can loan a new business or existing business money, minimum of $5,000 up to $45,000 for any project, any part of your business, inventory, property, just anything that you might need with it. 40% of that amount has to be through a bank loan or another regional program that we can hook up with. But then we can loan up to 60% of your amount up to $45,000, and then there's additional programs if you need more funding than that. But there's a flyer about that on your tables, and then I brought just about 10 actual applications, but it's also on our website, fortscott.com. There's a tab that says e-community, and you can access everything there. But the applications and information with that's about 5 pages long. So I only printed like 10 copies, but if you want one of those, they're back there on my table. So thrilled and excited, but I'm honored to be able to present tonight our keynote speaker, Dacia Clark, Dacia Fox Clark. She is a Fort Scott native and graduate, and she didn't have that part down, but I know. What year did you come?
96.
96, so just a few years. But I've known Dacia and her family pretty much forever. But Dacia graduated, like I said, from Fort Scott High School. Then she graduated in '99 from Kansas State University with a bachelor's in elementary education. After that, she went on to become a certified court reporter for the state of Kansas. In 2007, she started working at Pitt State as a senior administrative specialist in the Alumni Relations Office, where she worked for 9 years. In January 2017, she started a new position with the Small Business Development Center as a small business consultant, and in December of that same year received her MBA from Pitt State. She's now the Assistant Director of the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and is also an instructor at Pitt State teaching Intro to Entrepreneurship. She specializes in business planning, cash flow projections, and QuickBooks. Her hobbies are reading and spending time outdoors with family and friends. And you are going to find what she has very informative. And after tonight, you can find her 2 days a week down the street at the Center for Economic Growth, 17 South Main. And she's there 2 days a week, or always available by appointment. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Dacia.
Thank you.
So when the opportunity came up for somebody to be in Fort Scott a couple days a week, of course, I told my boss, I'm going. Like, I have lived here, I love Fort Scott, my parents are still here, so I spent a lot of time in Fort Scott, and it has been a wonderful opportunity to get to work with Jody Hayner. Huge supporter, and has become a very good friend in a short amount of time. She's a worker like I am, so we get along really well. So thank you, Jody, for reaching out to us to get this all started. So I've been here since November, and I'm telling you guys, I do this in 11 counties, and Bourbon County is rocking it. And a lot of that goes to Jody and the team that she has behind her, and Lindsay. To see people come together in your community and everybody's working together, going forward together instead of trying, like she said, competing against each other, like it doesn't work. So in Fort Scott, whatever, you guys have this good synergy between Jody and Lindsay of moving everybody together in the right direction. So good job for that. I'm not just saying that because I'm Fort Scott, because like I said, I have a lot of other counties, and it just is not happening. Even in my home county, which is Crawford County, not always do our chamber and everybody be able to get as much information as you can, as quickly as you can. So when you come in and meet with me, you get to meet with Jody, you get to meet with Lindsay, and anybody else that we may need to bring in. We try to have them at the table, so as a small business, you can come in and just get 1 hour of all that you need so we can get you going. So anyhow, my name is Dacia Clark. As Lindsay said, I'm the Assistant Director of the Small Business Development Center out of Pittsburgh State University. And I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the steps that you need to get started in your business. And at the end, there will be some Q&A, I think, after the panelists go through, so you'll be able to answer whatever questions you have. So the first thing that we talk about with clients when they come in is your opportunity. So lots of people want to think that they want to own their own business or be their own boss. I hear that a lot. I just want to be my own boss. And that's great. Obviously, I'm teaching Intro to Entrepreneurship, so that's right up my alley. And I don't even know what the statistic is, I should know, but majority of the United States is made up of small businesses. So that's really the heart and soul, not just here in Kansas, but across the United States. So we talk about what your product is. Is it unique? Is the service that you're offering unique? If it's not unique and it's similar to somebody else, like Bailey, I'm going to pick on her for a second because I've helped her a little bit. So obviously there's a lot of realty people in Fort Scott, so you have to decide how are you going to differentiate yourself so that you are going to be able to get the business that you want. Like, are you going to try to go for a different age group of people or a different income level of people? So there's all different ways that you can make yourself different than your competitor. Another thing that we want to talk about is how can you complement somebody that's already there? Can you work with another small business? We have businesses in Pittsburgh, several businesses. So like we have a sweet shop that provides sweets for our coffee house. And we have a bread shop that makes bread for one of our restaurants. So we have some mingling within businesses, and that's another good thing if you can find another business that you can kind of partner with or that you correlate with. So is there a demand or market for your product or service? Another thing, do you have good margins? So this is kind of all, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, we work through the cash flow. So we're trying to just make sure, my goal is to make sure that you get started and that you're going to be successful, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, not for 3 years. We want you to be successful for as long as you want to be in business, and then we also want you to figure out when you start business, there's one thing we know, you're going to exit your business at some time. So we try to talk about that up front. What is your goal of your business? Are you going to pass it to a family member? Are you going to sell your business? If you want to sell your business in the end, then you may, in the last 5 years of your business, you probably want to show quite a bit of profit so you can sell your business. If your profit and loss doesn't look good at the end, because you're trying to hide all your taxes, that doesn't really work when you're in the end life of your business. So we try to talk about all these things. What skills and abilities and experience do you have related to your business idea? So basically, I just want to try to know, like, what's your experience? So Bailey, obviously, I'm picking on her again because she's sitting in the front row. I hope that's okay.
You're fine. Laura told me that's why she wasn't coming to the front there.
So that happens when you sit in the front row. So Bailey, obviously, she has realty experience, but maybe she didn't have, and she said in her interview, if any of you were listening, maybe she doesn't know how to go out online and get an LLC or an EIN number. And it's not that it's super hard, it's just that that's something that I do every single day, and Bailey does realty every single day. So she knows realty and I can help you with some other things to make it just a little less stressful for you. So that's what we see a lot. Lots of people know their business, their service, they know how to make their product. They may not be as comfortable on the marketing side. That would be me. We have people in the SBDC that do marketing. That is not me. That is not my strong suit. If you need marketing help, we can definitely help you. Jody can probably help you a little bit because she's awesome at marketing. Lindsay back there does great marketing. Me, not so much. They send stuff to me all the time. I'm like, looks good, guys. It looks good to me. Okay, so briefly, loan steps, financing your business. These are all clickable. We will send you this whole PowerPoint. Everything I have that's underlined is a clickable link. So you can go out, and I've pulled this off of our website, the SBDC's website. So we're going to talk about the business plan, financial history, which is cash flow projections, that we need to review it. You'll review it with me. And then the last step, really, step 5, is where you go to present to a bank or to the e-community board or whatever funding that you're trying to receive. So financing your business. Are you going to get a loan? Are you going to get a grant? We have people that come in all the time, and I'll just tell you straight up, it is super hard to get grants. Don't look at Jody. She is awesome at getting grants, okay? That is not normal, and it's definitely not normal for a for-profit business. And how many hours did it take you to write that USDA grant?
Oh my gosh, it had to have taken at least 80 plus hours.
Yeah, probably 100 to 200 hours.
Yeah.
She's probably being generous there.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a long time, and there's a lot of requirements and steps that you have to go through. And you think you get the funding, oh, I got a grant, and then all the reporting on the backside that you have to worry about. Sometimes grants maybe not be in your best interest, and they are hard to come by for a for-profit business. So then we have to think about, okay, who is interested in your business? Do you have parents that support you, or grandparents, or outside people that are willing to give you money? Are they willing to buy into your business? Okay, loans, credit score. This is in the next a little bit here. Okay, loans are evaluated by the 6 C's. I'm not even going to, I'll run through them just real quick. So capital. You must be willing to invest your own funds. The bank's probably going to say, hey, we'll give you $1,000, but they want to see 20%. So just know that when you are trying to open your business, you are going to have to save a little bit of money, or we're going to have to try to start small, which is what we kind of suggest anyhow, starting a little smaller and then growing. If you want to know about that, go talk to Kelly. She started small, and now it's just kind of taken off for her. Collateral. Most lenders are going to require the borrower to put up some type of collateral. So you may have to put up your house, you may have to put up some land, possibly the building if you purchase the building. So just be prepared for that. Credit score is another one, another C here. And as you can see on the bottom, Jody and I are actually getting ready to work with a client next week. Good business plan, good cash flow projections, credit score needs a little work. We're not just saying, well, too bad, we can't help you. No, we're gonna help him figure out what we need to do to get that credit score up. Is it gonna take a little bit more time than he probably wants? Yeah, it probably is, but it will be worth it for him in the end. Okay, capacity. So this C is just talking about lenders basically want to determine if you can manage your loan payment. So on the cash flow, if you work with me, there's one number at the bottom of the cash flow, and I'll point it out to you and say, this is the number the bank looks at. Out of all these numbers that I put together, this is the number that the bank looks at. And it's basically, can you make your loan payment? That's all the bank really cares about, is if you can make your loan payment. Let's see. The 5th C is conditions. The lenders want a business plan. They want to understand what experience you have in your business. They want to make sure that you have done some research on your business, which is another thing that the SBDC can help you with. I can run what we call an IBIS World Report. It's an industry report to kind of give you a little idea on where your industry is going, or what is typical in your industry, like how much wages do you need to pay in your industry? What does rent usually cost? And what is your cost of sales normally going to be in an industry? And the last one is character. I think that's the last C here. Basically that lenders want to be, they just want to believe that you are an individual that can be depended on to repay your loan. Okay, so the credit score here, you can see, I'm not going to read all this, but you know, really if you're 700 or over, you're probably not going to have too much of an issue. I use Credit Karma. It's free. So if you haven't heard of that, I use that. And it doesn't ding your credit. So you can look at it every week, whatever. It doesn't, like, it's not going to hurt your credit. Okay, writing your business plan. They say that written business plans are 4 times more likely to succeed. The reason we have you do a business plan is just to make sure that you've really kind of thought out all the pieces. Now, it doesn't have to be a 20-page business plan. We've got it down to like 5 pages, so you don't have to be an English major. Like, I have a pretty good template. We have a video that you can walk through. It's just basically, I tell people, the reason why I don't want to write your business plan, I will assist you, and I will edit it, and I will help you get the information that needs to go in it, but you're just telling your story, and I can't tell your story for you. So that's why we encourage people to write their own business plans. Okay, business structure. So a lot of people come to me and I say, have you thought about your business structure? So obviously, maybe not everybody knows what a business structure is. So these 3 are the most common. Now there's several different kinds of corporations, but sole proprietorship, you don't have to be registered with the state of Kansas. So anybody can be a sole proprietorship. It doesn't change your tax status or anything. Basically, the difference is there's no protection. So if you're a sole proprietorship and somebody sues you, they're suing your personal assets, basically. Okay, so the limited liability company is just that, limited liability. And what that means is that if you have an LLC and they sue your LLC, so if somebody were to sue Bailey's Realty LLC, they couldn't then get to her personal assets.
Please don't do that.
So, and it's very non-expensive. So it costs $166 in the state of Kansas. I did it for somebody today, and getting an LLC is literally like probably under 10 minutes. Yeah, maybe 5. Super easy, super fast. It's all online. I can print off the papers for you and you can walk out the door. I don't charge you anything because obviously the grant that Jody received is helping me to be here, and I don't charge you anything to do that. And then the corporation is another one. I'm not a CPA, guys. I don't do taxes, so I try not to tell you what business structure that you need to be. I try to have you say, Melissa's not here, is she? Oh, she is! Okay, go see Melissa. She will tell you what different structures will do to your taxes. And then after she tells you, which I think you also do LLCs for clients, don't you? Okay, so we can both do LLCs. once she tells you that, that is great, because I don't want to get in the tax side. I try to tell people right off, I'm not a CPA, because I don't want to walk that tax line. Taxes are changing all the time, so use a CPA.
Melissa's a CPA.
Melissa is a
And what's
CPA.
Melissa's last name?
Melissa Weiss.
Weiss.
You're welcome. Would you like to stand up, Melissa, so we can see you? Okay, so the pros and cons, I kind of already talked about a little bit. Basically, my point is here that it's not really a con. I mean, they say the reason that LLC termination is up there is because if you're a corporation and you have a shareholder that drops out, the corporation keeps going. If you're an LLC and you have a partner that drops out, then you have to terminate the LLC and you have to start over. Again, it's not that big of a deal, so I don't really consider that a downside. But the main point here is it's $166. It's so worth it. And $55 every year after that. So that's it. $55 to keep like your business separated from your personal assets. Okay, financial projection info sheet, with which this is linkable here. 3 years of historical financials. So if you are purchasing a business, we like to get 3 years of financials. Like if you come to me and you say you want to purchase a business, I would tell you, let's get 3 to 5 years of tax returns and internal books, so we can kind of look and see what those books look like, to see if we can, to see if it's going to be a viable business for you. What may be a viable business for somebody that's running it right now, which Jody and I have seen this, may not be viable because the owner may not have been pulling out a salary. The owner maybe not have needed a salary out of that business because they have other things going on. But you take the business over and you need to get a salary off of this business. So all different kinds of things to take into account there. So, and then your personal financial statement. So just know that when you're buying a business or when you're starting a business and you're asking the bank for a loan, that they will have you fill out a personal financial statement. So just trying to like tell you all the things that the bank might ask you for. Okay. The last thing that we do is to review the business plan and the financial projection info. So I didn't really go over the financial projection info sheet. I said it's linked. Basically what we do is we write down all your expenses and then your income. So as you know, you have one line of income, maybe 2 lines of income, and the rest are expenses. So we try not to forget anything. We want to think about business liability insurance, property insurance. We want to think about depreciation of any assets you may have. So all kinds of expenses, and then we just try to make sure that you're going to be profitable. So obviously we have rent in there, or a building payment, wages. We detail it out. I want you to list out how many hours this person's going to work, what you're going to pay them. So it's a little bit tedious, but the more detail that we can get your financial projection, the better off I'm able to help you in making sure that your business is going to be viable. Okay, so then we review it. I teach you kind of a little bit what the cash flow, so if you take it to the bank, that you would be able to ask questions. I always get asked, will you go to the bank with me? So I'm not going to say I won't go to the bank with you, because I'm not that kind of person. But if I can teach you, and you really should be able to, if I can teach you how to read that cash flow, and you go into the bank and you can understand it, you're going to be better off without me, obviously. But if you have questions, and I tell people this all the time, sometimes I'm working so close with the banker, because lots of times bankers are the ones that refer clients to me, then the banker will ask me questions in an email or a phone call or whatever, and that's totally fine. Like, I'm here to help. That's That's my job. That's what I enjoy doing. Okay, so then you go to the bank. And this is just a little bit at the end. I'm trying to make sure that I'm okay on time here. Okay, so this is just kind of a little bit of side notes. So after you kind of decide like, yes, I'm going to be able to write the business plan, the cash flow projections, I think I'm going to be able to get a loan. Okay, now's the time that we're starting to think, okay, do I want to be an LLC? Do I want to be a sole prop? Do I want to be a corporation? You go visit Melissa, she says LLC. You say, okay, I need an EIN. Or I'll tell you, like, you need an EIN if you're going to be an LLC. The bank will not let you open up a business account without an LLC, without an EIN. So it's really easy to get. Again, I can help you with that. It's really just a social security number for your business, just like a social security number that like you have. So it's through the IRS, irs.gov. You can get online and do it really quickly. Again, like literally 5 minutes, not hard. I can help you. We'll sit down and actually walk you through the process, and we will get it for you right now. Then we talk about what kind of registrations, licenses, or permits that you're going to need. I was working with a client today, and I was like trying to pull it out of her, like, are you sure there's no permits? And she was like, well, actually, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. You know, there's all kinds of certifications people have, so we just want to make sure that we have those expenses listed in your business plan. And we do 3-year cash flow projections. So we try, that's a long enough time to try to, you know, grab everything that you're going to need to like renew. Because some licenses, you know, you don't do every year. Then we talk about payroll taxes. I can help you get your Kansas retailer sales tax ID. That's through the Kansas Department of Revenue. Usually when I pull people in, we do the LLC, the EIN, and the Kansas retailer sales tax all in one sitting. 45 minutes to an hour, and you can have all of those things. And you pay payroll taxes the same place you pay sales tax, and that's another service if you're not comfortable with doing those things. That's another service that a CPA can provide. Melissa back there, she knows all about that stuff. And software. So I know Melissa uses QuickBooks, and I'm a QuickBooks Pro Advisor, so I love QuickBooks. I don't get paid by them or anything. I just think QuickBooks is a very business friendly. Once you get to using it and understanding it, the amount of information that it can provide to you is very beneficial. Would you like to say a few words about that, Adina? So anyhow, I think you need some system. It doesn't have to be QuickBooks. Somebody told me today they're using something called FreshBooks. Haven't looked into it. Maybe cheaper. I love QuickBooks. You can do it online. I paid somebody's payroll from my phone the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, my internet was not working at home, and I'm like, I've got to be able to like go through Square and get their payroll paid. Which brings me to the second point of Square or Clover. Lots of you have inventory that you need to keep track of, so you want to have some point of sale system. I can help you with that. And then I just threw this up here. Lots of people, this Home Base is a free app to keep track of your hours for your employees. So one client that I have uses Home Base, which is free to track all of her hours of her employees. I pull Home Base into Square, and I pay all of her employees through Square. Then I tell Square I want to push all that payroll stuff into QuickBooks. So all 3 of those systems will like work together. Now, does it take some time to get all that up and running? Yes. But just know it can be done, and I'm here to help you through the process. Okay, I'm not going to take questions right now because we're running out of time. But thank you, and I will be available for questions as soon as the panelists get.
Tell them how to make an appointment with you.
Oh yes. Okay. So I left So my email is the best way to get a hold of me. I'm in Fort Scott most Mondays, some Fridays. I'm located at 17 South Main with Jody upstairs. And yeah, come visit me. You can call me. I will get back with you, but email's way better.
Yeah, and then call me too.
Oh yeah, you can also call Jody because she's really good about
Facebook Messenger, email, everybody.
she's
finds me.
really good about putting stuff on my calendar.
She finally just shared it.
I think she kind of likes to do that. I share my calendar so she knows when I'm available, because if I'm not here in Fort Scott, then we Zoom, which works pretty well too, so.
All right, well, we're gonna move right along. So before we get started in the next part, I just wanna mention again, restrooms are back here. There's more food and drink back there, so feel free to get up and get another snack if you want. And when you do leave this evening, all that swag back there is complimentary from Healthy Bourbon County Action Team, so feel free to take some things. So, but we're super excited to have our panelists here this evening. So I would like to introduce Kelly Perry, Perry's Pork Rinds, and Bailey Lyons, Lyons Realty Group. And they are panelists here this evening, and we're gonna ask them a couple of questions. But do you guys have anything to say before we get started, or you just wanna dive right in?
I just think it's awesome to see a full room here, and thank you to everybody that put efforts in to put this on. Hopefully you all walk away with something out of this night, and if nothing else, just the networking goes a long way. So super, super awesome to see all of your faces, and I walked around and kind of introduced myself and met all of you, and there's people here from all over the place, not just Fort Scott. So other people see what we're doing here, and I think it's awesome. So thank you for being here tonight.
Awesome. So we're just gonna kind of dive right into it, and if you guys just wanna give a little bit of background, and when did you know you wanted to start your own business?
I actually wrote my answer down because I have a tendency to be long-winded, so I kind of jotted down some points. There's really no light bulb moment whenever.
Do you wanna stand up and
Sure.
maybe come
Come
out
to the front?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay in the back? Okay. There's really no light bulb moment, and there was no easy answer for stepping away from a 40-hour position, full-time job to start your own business, or in my case, to start Perry's Pork Rinds with my husband. At the time, I didn't understand what was happening in my life, but I knew that something had to change. I was waking up and hitting the alarm clock, and I was making it to work by the skin of my teeth. I was trudging through the day, and routine steps over and over, but I didn't feel like I was making an impact on anyone else's life, and I sure didn't feel like being at work. As our pork rind business started out, it was just to make a little extra money on the side because we wanted to go on a vacation. So we planned to sell some pork rinds at a small festival in Hume, Missouri, and we were going to take that and go on vacation, and we were going to be done selling pork rinds. And that was in 2017. So I come from a background of my mom's a nurse, a very, very reputable career. My dad welded for 23 years, so I didn't come from entrepreneurs or anyone with a business background. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that there had to be something more out there for me that was going to make me happy and feel fulfilled on a daily basis. So I had went to work one day, and my boss evidently caught on that I just wasn't in tune to work. And maybe it was my attitude, maybe it was the effort, I'm not sure what he saw, but at the time, he called me and he said, you know, you're gonna have to decide if you want to work for our company or if you want to work on your hobby. And I thought, oh, how dare he call it a hobby? Like, I was furious. And he said, you know, this is what I'm going to offer you for your pay, which was substantially more than what my hourly rate was. And I said, well, I need to go home and talk to my husband. So I came home and I was just all offended, you know, and how dare he call it a hobby? And we worked so hard, and I was offended. And my husband said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know, let's talk about it. And the points that Dacia just went over, you know, is it something that's in demand? What are the financials? Is it gonna be sustainable? We started researching, and I bet you I stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning. And I went to work the next day, and I told him, I think I would like to go ahead and put in my 2-week notice. And it was very scary, so there was no moment where I just decided, we're just gonna start a business and I'm just gonna walk away. It took a little bit of pushing maybe from my boss, but it also was me saying, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance and I'm gonna do this. And I know I don't have any history in it, but I can bank on me. I know what I'm capable of. And I always have been the type of person where it's like, if I think I can do it, then I can.
Amen. Amen.
I did step away, and when people ask me, how did you decide to step away from a secure 40-hour-a-week paycheck, no matter how large or how small it was, I thought to myself, you know, you can't build a business of your own if you're plugging away 40 hours a week working for somebody else over here. You can't focus on your own because it's kind of like you can't spread yourself that thin. So was it easy? No, but there were ways to make it happen. I reached out. I did not so glamorous jobs. I have a friend who hired me to clean her house for her sister. I cleaned houses. I did whatever I could to make ends meet until we could get where we needed to be financially. And then my husband joined me. That was in 2018, and my husband joined me in October of 2019, and we now have 2 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees, and then we're both self-employed. So
I think I remember messaging with Kelly when she was still at that job about
many times.
On what her dreams were at that time. So it's been really exciting to see where she is today and Patty. So Bailey, what about you? When did you first want to start your own business?
Okay, so I'm Bailey Lyons. I have Lyons Realty Group. I just started my own business in January of this year. Dacia helped me, so big thanks to Dacia. I'm a big believer in do what you know you can do well, and then let other people who are experts do what they do well. Dacia is an expert. Melissa is an expert. She does all of my numbers stuff, and I have a finance and accounting background, but she's the gal to go to, so she does all that. I've got a good attorney. I've got a good financial advisor, so I'm a firm believer in do what you know you can do really well. And I know I can do real estate really well, and I know I provide a wonderful service to my clients, so that's what I wanted to focus on. I have a background in finance and accounting. I have my MBA also. Most of my experience up until real estate was in banking, especially on the commercial lending side, so very male-dominant field there. And I came back from a maternity leave with my smallest son to find out that they had kind of eliminated my position. And so it was like, all right, what am I gonna do next? And real estate had always been on my mind. It was something I had always talked about, but gosh, that commission only thing was a little bit scary. So I decided to take a leap of faith and go ahead and get my real estate license. And at the time I'm thinking, okay, I've got an MBA, I'll do this, it'll help get me by, and then I'll find a job at some point that's okay with me having some time with my kids, you know, I will have good work-life balance, that kind of thing. So the real estate thing, I got that thinking, okay, this is gonna be a good side gig. And then I laugh at that now because it was never a side gig. It took off smashingly well. I got my license in 2018. I'm licensed in Kansas and Missouri. At the beginning of 2021, I got my broker's license in both Kansas and Missouri and opened my own brokerage. And I've had loyal clients and wonderful word of mouth, and I'm super grateful for that. But I also know it's because I work my butt off and I really try to go above and beyond for my clients. And so I'm not one to toot my own horn at all, but girls, when you do something well, you've got to own it and you've got to know it.
Woo!
That's what
Yes.
So when Dacia talks about what do you do different, there are all kinds of real estate agents in town, and I wish them all the best. And I'm a big believer that other people can be successful, and so can I. I don't need to take anybody down for my own success. So I just focus on me, and I know that I will bend over backwards for my clients, and I know that they appreciate that, and they tell other people, and I think that is what I attribute my business success to. And when it finally came down to it, you know, when you're a real estate agent, you work for a broker, you're a 1099, so you're not really somebody else's employee. So I've kind of been out on my own a little bit since I got into real estate, but I still had to do things the way my broker wanted things done. And when I had ideas, I wasn't really allowed to take them and run with them. So at some point I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I had some pep talks from some ladies in this room when I was doubting myself a little bit that said, girl, what are you worried about? So thank you to those of you who had those talks with me. But eventually it was like, okay, I'm gonna take my ideas and I'm gonna put them into action and not let anybody else stunt my growth. And it has been amazing and hard all at the same time. I think anybody who has their own business will tell you it is long hours. Like I'm putting in 15-hour days on the regular right now. I'm about to take a vacation. It's probably gonna be my first day off since January, you know? So it's not all roses by any means, but gosh, is it worth it, you know? When you're doing something for yourself, you really get to celebrate those small victories. And then I think one of the big things is just having a tribe that will celebrate you also, because especially in small business, when you have your own business, it can feel lonely sometimes. You know, it can feel like, gosh, I don't have a boardroom of people to go bounce ideas off of, but that's where the networking comes into play. And you do have a lot of supporters. You just have to reach out and utilize them. And there are so many people, I think as women, we kind of get hooked on this mindset that we're in competition with each other, and instead we should just celebrate each other. And so there are so many people out there that will look at you and celebrate your successes. One of the examples I love recently is Angie Simon. I'm going to call her out. Angie and I work together on the chamber board. There's a new shop in town, and I don't know, maybe somebody's here from it, but there's a new resale shop in town. Angie has had Bids and Dibs, a resale shop that's very successful in town for a long time. She does a lot for our community. And we were at a chamber board meeting, and it was brought up that there's this new business coming into town. And Angie, without missing a beat, said, I'm gonna go visit them. And I thought that was awesome. They're competitors by all sense of the word, but she went out there, she visited their stores, she gave them a little bit of advice, made a friendly connection, and I was super impressed by that. And I think the world needs more of that. So I just think that there's so much untapped potential by us thinking that we're in competition with each other. There's always going to be healthy competition, don't get me wrong. I will always work to make myself as good as I can be, but I think some degree of competition is healthy, but I also think supporting each other and lifting each other up is very healthy also. So that's my long answer as to why I started my business, and I encourage you all to do the same. And if you ever have any questions, real estate related or otherwise, I'm an open book, so feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer questions, give you unsolicited advice, tell you the mistakes that I've made so that you can avoid them. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Awesome advice for everyone. I think that is so true. The more that we have here in Fort Scott and Bourbon County, the more people are going to come and patronize everyone, or your online businesses as well. I mean, the world's a big place to shop at all the different online businesses, even if they're in the same market. So true to reach out and holler for help or help someone, lend a hand. So great advice for everyone. So Kelly, do you want to tell us about a time that you've run into a hurdle or challenge and what you did to overcome it?
Sure.
Not everything's roses.
No, not quite. I also wrote this down because we all know I'm long-winded. Briefly describe a difficult time and how you overcame it. So narrowing this down was quite fun, because there's always going to be difficult times, but there's also going to be really joyful times that you get to celebrate because you know you did it with your own two hands. So keep that in mind. One of the things that I want to talk about was we started in September of 2017, and then it was about May of 2018 that I walked away from the job that I told you guys about earlier and focused full-time on growing the business. And some of the things that I have to do on the side, because when you think about, well, how is she growing a pork rind business? Well, I did things like get different licensing. Each county that we go and sell in requires a different license. Some cities require you to have a mobile vendor's license to set up on the corner in their community. You have to get sometimes written permission to be on certain people's property to even set your vehicle up, or you have to show them proof of insurance. So I was focusing on those things during that 1 year that I fully stepped away and started working for ourselves. So in October of 2019, I told my husband, the numbers look good. I think that you need to step away from your job. I think you need to join me, because if you join me, we can go from cooking fresh rinds 1 time a day to cooking 3 and 4 times a day, so we can expand and we can hit more people and we can go to more cities and more fairs and festivals. And he was really reluctant, and I gave him the whole speech. I pep talked him. I'm like, because as women we have huge influences. So I said, if you step away, we could do this, and our numbers will look like this, and then we can do this. So he says, okay. So in October we stepped away. We were invited to Neowalla in Independence, which they haven't had any new vendors there in like 22 years, and we were one of the 2 new vendors that they allowed at Neowalla. And we went and had great success. That was October. November, of course, is always a busy month for us, and then December, it's the Christmas rush. And then mid-December, we kind of shut down and have a couple of weeks just to recoup at the end of the year. And then January, we start all over again. I look at where the fairs and festivals are at. I get our licensing for each state, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas. I set up financial goals, because as they mentioned earlier, if you write your goals down, you're more likely to attain them. So I sat down and I say, this is what I want to make first quarter. This is what we want to make second quarter. This is who my plan B is if this person doesn't show up to work on this day. Like, getting things ready. So January came, and then February came, and then the pandemic came. And remember, I had just told my husband, who was our secure 40-hour-a-week paycheck, to step away from his job. And I had coached him to do that. So here I am, a vendor who makes 80% of her living from fairs, festivals, weddings, concerts. What are we going to do? Because those are social gatherings. There are no more of those because of the pandemic. So I spent my entire time during the pandemic staying up super late at night and reading Facebook algorithms and how to grow social media outreach. I went to Barnes & Noble and got the book Instagram for Dummies, and I read through it because I'm not the cool hip mom that does Instagram. I don't know how it works. I set up a plan, and I literally said to myself, our business will fail this year if we don't do this, this, and this to keep it surviving. So I said, okay, what cities did we go to? Where were we really successful in selling all these pork rinds? Ooh, Neowalla. Okay, let me get a hold of the chamber. Let me get a hold of their city, and let me get a hold of the county. I'm gonna call AutoZone and see if I can set up in AutoZone's parking lot. And so that's what we did. And then the next one we went to, I said, we should call Burlington, because we have Burlington Christmas Craft Fair, and every year they sell out. Like, we sell 2,500 bags of pork rinds in 2 days. We should go there. So I picked out the points where I knew we already had a customer base, and I was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So during the pandemic, our sales switched from being 80% at fairs and festivals and parades and things like that to 80% being online. And it was a difficult time. The pandemic was difficult for all of us in some way, shape, or form. It affected all of us, whether we had a family member pass, or whether it affected our jobs or our kids being in school, and then we had to take on more responsibility of watching them, do their schoolwork at home, plus still being a wife and a mom and being businesswomen. So the silver lining in that is that perseverance. Because I didn't say, oh my gosh, I gotta go work for somebody else now, or I gotta go do this now, because there's no fairs and festivals. I thought outside of the box, because you hear the old saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't know where it came from, but there really is more than one way to do something, and that's literally what I did. I thought, where do we make our most money? Because we already have a customer base there, and let's go to those communities, let's advertise heavily on social media. And then I also learned how to send out email marketing letters. And it literally, it was difficult, but there's always gonna be difficulties. And so it's just your perspective and how you're gonna get through it. Because there's difficulties in everything, whether it's raising our kids or our marriage or our day jobs or even starting a business. So I just saw it as, let's focus on the positive and let's go do this. And we did. And two cities that come to mind are Parsons, Kansas, which is where my husband is from originally, and Garnett. And we had advertised that we were gonna come, and in typical Kelly fashion, which this was my personal goal this year, was to do better on time management, because I'm coming in on time, but I'm usually coming in hot. So I was like, man, we gotta be here on time. So we're loading up the trailer, I'm getting the cash register and all of our stuff, and our tent, and so we get to Parsons, and we're setting up on the corner of 26th and Main, and in Parsons, there's a big, huge vacant lot, and that's usually where vendors set up and sell. And we get there, and I said, man, we're gonna be late, and Thaddeus is like, we're fine, and he's just cruising slowly along. And we get there, and I said, oh my gosh, are those people waiting for us? And he was like, yeah. And we counted, I counted, and there were 27 cars lined up around the city block waiting on us to come and sell pork rinds. So not only are people supporting family-owned business, but it just shows if you guys push through when it's really, really hard, because it's not always easy, but if you push through and you persevere, you guys were capable, we're truly capable of anything. So that's what we did, and the next time I thought, oh, it's just a fluke, because that's where my husband's from, you know. I didn't want to take it and just run with it and, you know, have a big head. So the next time we went to an RV park outside of Garnett, and we set up, and so we're pulling in, and we set up, and of course everyone, we have our masks on, and I even got a new credit card swiper where you could just touchless, you know, so we could still follow all the rules, and we asked people to please stay in their car. I had a cute little sign that said, we'll get Carol Baskin's cats. And I told people to stay in their car, and I would take their order and I'd shout it back to my husband, and he would load up their pork rinds and would hand it through the car window. And during that day, for 2 hours solid, people supported. And if you have a good product and if you push hard, people will see that and they'll support you. Your circle will support you, and then your circle will expand, and there's really, there's nothing else to do at that point except for help other people, which is why I'm here tonight. Because I don't care if you start out when you're 20 or when you're 60. There's just so much potential out there. All of us have had good ideas, and you just have to persevere and push through whenever you run across a bad time.
Oh, Kelly, your ability to pivot is just remarkable.
Awesome story. I was just standing there thinking, I'm really disappointed you didn't wear the pork
My
rind
pork
leggings
rind
tonight.
Oh yes, I do have some awesome snazzy pork rind leggings too. Look for the merch, it's coming soon.
Yeah, she's awesome at branding, so we can talk about that, you know, in our spare time. So, Bailey, can you tell us who your mentor was as you were building your business and what mentorship means to you?
Is that a loaded question or what? I made some notes too, because I'll take you to 10 different directions before I answer that question if not. So I will start by saying there's a quote I like that says, you can always tell who the strong women are. They're the ones you see building one another up instead of tearing each other down. So I've had some wonderful mentors. I'm not going to name them all by names. And I've had some not so wonderful mentors, and probably shouldn't even be called mentors. And I'd say everybody in this room has been in the same boat. And then I think I've been a really good mentor, and I've probably failed people and not been such a great mentor, and I've learned from those times and tried to do better. When we got our questions ahead of time, so I sat down and I thought, okay, what does mentorship mean to me? What does it mean to be a mentor? And some of the things that I jotted down was, I think a good mentor has to be a well-rounded person. I think that you have to lead by example. I think that a good mentor is somebody who can adjust their styles to accommodate the style of the person you're mentoring, because let's get real, we're not all exactly the same, we're not cookie cutter. I think that someone who will encourage you is awesome. You gotta have somebody in your corner, but you also need to have somebody that respects you enough to challenge you and tell you when you need to do better or when you need to push yourself a little bit harder or offer constructive criticism. Somebody who will offer advice but allow you to make your own decisions. I think if somebody else is making decisions for you, you're not growing, you're not getting out of your shell at all. Somebody who will suggest things to you but not instruct you as to what to do. And especially for us in this room, mentor, not mother. So I think that all of those things go in. I have a couple young ladies that I'm mentoring right now, and I try to think of all those things, and I try to think of really good experiences I had with mentors and bad experiences that I had with mentors that I hope people don't walk away from an experience with me feeling that way. As I told you guys before, my career has been primarily in banking and finance up until this, and again, really male-dominated field. And I had a female mentor early on who was really successful. She was a mom. I'm a big believer that I can be a good mom and a good business person, even though it's really hard sometimes. I think that when my kids see me be a good business person, I'm being a good mom to them. So I think that the two go hand in hand. But she explained to me early on, look, hun, you're gonna have to work harder, you're gonna have to work smarter, you're gonna have to work longer if you wanna get recognized and if you wanna get somewhere in this field. And I think that is, I've always been a hard worker, but I think that's when my work ethic really flourished, because it's like, look, I'm not here. At that point, I was 8 to 5. At this point, I'm like 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. But at that point, I was clocking in 8 to 5, and I thought, I am not gonna come and sit here and just spin my wheels and work really hard and allow other people, maybe my male counterparts, to get recognition. So I was going to put in the work that it took. And once I transitioned into real estate, it didn't take me long to realize it's a really dog-eat-dog world. There's a lot of women in real estate, but my goodness, how catty it can be sometimes. And that's unfortunate, and I think that is probably the case in retail. I think that's the case in a lot of female-dominated fields. And again, I touched earlier on about celebrating each other instead of viewing each other as competition. But I think that if you focus on you and you focus on what you do well, that's going to make you the best version of yourself that you can be. And I've had females who I thought were my mentors that the second, they were gonna mentor me, but the second I became a threat to them, or the second it got to where maybe I was going to have a little bit more production than them, things got to where they didn't wanna be as helpful to me. And I'm looking to bring a couple ladies on with my real estate group right now. And my main goal, and I told them this when I met with them, is I want you to do better than me, because that means I did my job well. And as we all look to form professional relationships with other women, I think there's an endless opportunity to mentor and celebrate each other. I saw a quote that said, the way you achieve your own success is to be willing to help somebody else get it first. And again, I don't know exactly where it came from, where we thought that we get worried that if we support other women, that it's going to take the attention away from what we're doing, but there's plenty of room for success. And I think what that really shows is that you're a team player and you're a leader who's secure enough in yourself to give others credit. So it is said that a woman alone has power, but collectively we have impact. And I think we as women have to play on that and use people who are knowledgeable in things that maybe you're not, and build up that base. And then sometimes, women trying to start a business or raise through the ranks in corporate America, we face, cultural, systematic hurdles. Maybe people don't think, oh, you're not gonna put in the time because you're a mom, you're gonna be pulled in too many different directions. I've certainly felt that myself. And I think the true way that we overcome those hurdles is to form close connections with other women, have a support system that wants to see you do well, and have somebody that you can go to when things aren't going well, when we can share experiences and share how we've overcome obstacles, celebrate each other's successes. Ultimately, everybody wins. And I'll leave you with one more quote. It's my favorite. Behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who have your back. So form your tribe and love your tribe.
Yes.
Okay, well, we have a few more, about 10 more minutes before we're gonna open it up to you guys for some questions. So be thinking about some questions that you have. But Kelly, this is kind of on the spot, but both of you do an awesome job at branding and putting out a professional product and making sure, you know, that customer comes back or you get that next referral or whatever. Kelly, do you want to speak a little bit to that? How the, you know, we talked about the leggings. I mean, you want to talk about, I mean, everything from your tent to how you started with your packaging, where your packaging is now. I mean, you just make sure that it's a professional product you're putting out and not just shipping out.
When we started to get a little bit more working capital, we saved because I noticed that when we went to fairs and festivals and events, we had started out with just a tent from Walmart, like one of those little sunshades that was 10 by 10, and it was white. So when someone come down the street, let's say good old days, they're just seeing a bunch of white tents. So my first big purchase was a custom tent. And for us at the time, that was a lot of money. That was $1,600. And that was a big purchase for us because that could have been, you know, more seasonings, that could have been more pork rinds, it could have been better bags for us. But branding is huge. And I joked with my husband in the beginning, but it wasn't really a joke. He will go to this convenience store every morning and get coffee. We have a coffee pot, but he'll go to the convenience store and get coffee. And I said, when you go to the convenience store, why don't you take the Perry's pork rind coffee cup? And he said, I don't know, this is pre-pandemic, mind you. He said, I don't know, I just get one of the disposable cups. And I said, well, before you leave the house, I'm gonna need you to either have a Perry's pork rind hat on, or a shirt on, or I'm gonna need you to carry a cup. And he said, are you serious? And I was like, I'm very serious. So the reason why is very, very basic. Anytime you go somewhere, you should be branding. I don't care if it is your husband and you's tire shop, I don't care if it's your cleaning business, wherever you're at, someone needs to see that. So fast forward several years, and I had someone tell me the other day, oh yeah, I was dating this guy, and he was eating pork rinds, and I told him I had these friends that own this pork rind company, and he said, oh yeah, there's these people in Southeast Kansas, and they have this little pork rind pig, or this little pig with a chef's hat on, and he's tossing the pork rind in the air. And I'm like, you know, because they're talking about us. They didn't know we were Perry's pork rinds, but they recognized my pig. And they recognized him tossing the pork rind up in the air, and they recognized his chef's hat. So yes, branding is huge, and it may seem silly to carry around your thermos with your sticker on it, but it's very, very important that you're branding everywhere you go. And so, there's things that you can get with Dacia, with, design services. There's resources locally that you can get printed, little stickers to put on your car, stickers to put on your cups. And we just started out small. Well, here's a prime example. I bought some stickers and made my own pop sockets. I mean, who doesn't have a pop socket, right? Like most people have something on their phone, so I always have my brand with me no matter where I'm going. I'm constantly branding to people. And t-shirts, I mean, it does me, it takes me a long time to find what I'm gonna wear because most of the time I'm like, yep, that's a pork rind shirt. Yep, that's pork rind tank top. Yep, that's pork rind, because everything has our pig on it now. Yep. But that is super important, your brand and just brand awareness. And even when you're creating content for your social media, if you're creating content for social media, don't just put like sandwiches on sale today. It needs to say whatever you're on sale today, but down in the bottom corner, you need to have your logo, you need to have your image, you need to have your brand, because it's important to always just drive that home, the brand, the brand, the brand. And pay attention to small things. Our tent, I mentioned that everybody's tent was white early on. I did nerdy research. When I can't sleep at night, I learned that yellow makes people happy. That was part of the design logo for tonight's event. I learned that red makes people hungry psychologically, because let's think about the red rooftop at Pizza Hut. The red that you see at McDonald's, the red you see at Wendy's, the red you see at Arby's. Subconsciously, we don't realize it, but red makes us hungry. So I studied all of those things when it came to making our tent and designing what we were gonna do as far as our brand goes. So
And reach out to you for cheap ways to do things, because she's always telling me.
Yeah, I'm always researching the cheapest ways to do things, and don't be afraid to ask. You know, like, hey, if I buy in bulk, or hey, can you come down on that price just a little bit? We're growing, we're learning, we just don't have the working capital. I'm not ashamed to say that. You know, we started our business, most people don't know this, we started our business with $250. That's literally all we had to start our business. And so I will tell people, I'll say, well, we can do t-shirts, but I think I'm gonna print my own. Can I borrow your heat press though? Yeah, sure, come borrow it. And I would buy my own emblems and design them online and pay $2 for them. And then I'd get them in the mail, and it took forever, and I cut out my emblems and I placed them on the t-shirts, and I did the work myself. I burned my knuckles pressing my own shirts. But that's what it took because I wanted the brand awareness. So do a little bit of research, take a little bit of time, cut corners where you can. Don't be prideful and be like, oh yeah, we bought 900 of these when you can't afford it yet. We didn't buy it unless we had the money to pay cash for it. It took me a long time to come to the realization that as you grow, you're gonna have to probably take out a loan. But we tried to pay as we went. But yeah, branding is super, super important. So if you haven't got a logo, if you haven't got that down, for me, that was the very, very first thing that we did was our brand.
And I think we have somebody here that does design, Rebecca Hauser. I mean, I used her quite a bit for design work too, so.
Bailey, do you want to speak a little bit to how do you do this balancing act between your professional life and the 4 kids you have at home? I know you've recently been doing a couple of tactics, so do you want to share?
Yeah, so people ask me that question all the time. It's probably one of the biggest questions I get, and my answer is honestly not with a whole lot of grace sometimes, but we make it happen. I get somewhere and I'm gonna look professional, I'm gonna look put together, but 5 minutes earlier it might look like everything blew up at my house, and I think we all probably know that feeling. So I think when you have your own business, when I started out in real estate, I thought, okay, I have got to answer everybody, no matter what time of day it is. I've got to make myself available no matter what. I was missing things with my kids. You just feel pulled, especially when, everything depends on you. So if I was going to be successful, it was on me. There wasn't anybody else that was going to go do the work. And that is part of there's pros and cons to having your own business. That's one where you really feel the pressure. And as my business grew, my clientele grew, I realized one of the reasons that was happening was because I was making myself very available. They appreciated my prompt responses to them. They appreciated that I would work around their schedules. But then there was this tipping point where I got a little bit more balance to it, and I thought, you know what? I'm thankful and I'm blessed that I'm at the point where I can say, no, you know what, if the only time you can see that house is during my kid's t-ball game, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to do it. And if that means you wanna go work with another agent, I totally respect that. And you know what, they don't. And that's because they trust me to take good care of them. And so my clients know that I will take their phone call. I tell my clients, I'll take your phone call, I will respond to a text as long as I'm not sleeping. And I have a few clients in the room that I think know that. They will tell you I have responded to them at midnight, and they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't think you were gonna get that till tomorrow morning. But I think when you provide a level of service that your clientele can come to expect, then it gives you a little bit of room to have that work-life balance. And I don't miss my kids' things. That might mean that I'm up working until 3 in the morning because I took a couple hours off to go to the choir concert or go to the baseball game or go to the mom picnic. But that's also one of the beauties of self-employment, because somebody else isn't telling you, when I had my 8 to 5 job, when my workload got hard, it was like, I was in there, I'm the type of person, I'm gonna get the work done no matter what, even if it's not between 8 and 5. So I was in there at 6 a.m. But darn it, then you're gonna make me take an hour off to leave an hour early to go watch my kids' game. It just didn't seem right to me. And so that's one of the beauties of self-employment, but it's also a curse too. So I set my own schedule, but I work a heck of a lot more hours than I ever did on my 8 to 5 job. And I think, it might not be family, but family's really important to me. So as Lindsay said, I have 4 kids. One plays volleyball in college, so we travel all over the place to watch her. And then I have twins that are 8 years old, and then a 3-year-old going on a 23-year-old. And so we are busy. I don't know any different. We don't sit around. I don't know what it is when we have like 10 minutes of free time. But my family knows and respects how important my business is to me also. And they know that that's a priority for me, and my clients know that my family is a priority for me also. And I don't always do it well. There are times that I crash and burn, but most of the time, I think if you really work at it and you really make it a priority, you are able to find that balance. You just from the beginning, I think, have to set what's important to you. I never went into real estate saying, okay, now my family's not important to me. Heck, that's why I was working so hard, was because my family was so important to me. But I think you just have to say, like, set your parameters and set your boundaries. Like, what am I willing to give up? Because there's always some sacrifices. But when you get that under control, you get that balance, and it's a pretty sweet spot. Sometimes my kids get drug along with me. I joke that my husband and my kids are my sign guys. So, like, lately, almost every day, I'm like, go put a sign up, which is a really awesome thing in real estate. And they're like, Mom, we have to put another sign up. Guess what, buddy? You putting that sign up means we get to go on vacation. So I think that it's very much a family business in our world, and so everybody knows that there's give and take. But I think ultimately it comes back to do really well at what you know you can do really well, and everything will fall into place. You're gonna have some hiccups along the way, but it will work itself out if you make it a priority to do so.
Awesome. And she doesn't just put in 110 on her business, also the community, on the chamber board, and spearheading our downtown cleanup, which is now Friday, August 13th from 3 to 6 if you want to join us. And Angela's on the committee too. So
And the scooters. And the scooters.
Oh yes, and the bird scooters. And yeah, these ladies, and Kelly was one that was passionate about sharing with the other women, and
she's got the How Nutrition now.
with this tonight, and How Nutrition and Protein Place in Iola. I didn't want to say her. And so yeah, multiple facets, but also giving back to their community and other women. So that has perks to your business as well. So, but now we have some time for questions from you guys. If there was anything you have burning that hasn't been addressed so far, so don't be shy.
I do want to say one thing really quick, because we haven't touched base on it. If there's any friends, family, anyone tonight that you think, man, they should have been here, tell them to come next time. Just because they didn't make it to Series 1 doesn't mean they can't come to 2 and 3 and 4.
And we're Facebook
Yes,
Live,
and we're
so-
Facebook Live.
And so I'm gonna do that real quick. So our next one is going to be October 6th, and it's gonna be online marketing. And Kelly Perry with Perry's Pork is going to be doing the keynote speaking. Mindy with Small Business Development Center will be talking about marketing. Lindsay Madison will be a panel speaker, and Aaron Van has been confirmed to be a panel speaker for online marketing. So that'll be a good one with some real good experts on that on October 6th. And I also forgot to thank Becca and Angie for doing registration, and so I just want to put that in there too.
Anybody that did slip in the back, we saw a few people come through the back door. If you have not registered, it would help Jody a lot with documentation. If you could just go ahead and sign the registration form on your way out the door.
Thank you.
I know you guys have to have questions.
The Center for Economic Growth, the Action Team Center for Economic Growth.
Action Team Center for Economic Growth. And I'll probably share it on the chamber page as well, which is Fort Scott Area Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Yes.
question. A lot of people don't want to leave their full-time job to start their own business because of insurance. How do you do insurance? Especially if you have to have insurance.
Repeat the question. Repeat the question.
I can answer that a little bit.
Repeat
So
the
for
question.
us, we actually went through the
Can you
market.
repeat the question? She asked, how do you leave your full-time job if you depend on the health insurance? What do you do for insurance?
So for us personally, my husband and I both have health insurance through the marketplace. We went in during open enrollment and, we filled out all the applications and we got to choose from different brackets based off of what our healthcare needs are. Like, we're not really in the hospital or anything that much. And so there were some that were crazy prices, and then there were some that was within our price range. That's literally how we got through with that. And even the people who work for us, I don't know, I would have to ask Melissa probably, like, there's a certain period when you get enough employees that you have to provide, or at least offer health insurance. We're not quite to that point yet. I hope one day to be able to do that for people. I know that that's really huge. But there are ways around it, and there are things you can do. There's also another friend of mine uses, I'm gonna get the name wrong, but it's like a Christian, yes. And what they do is, and then out of all the money that's collected, certain portions or your whole bill or whatever is paid for through this network of people. So there are ways around it. If that is a barrier, there's ways around it. Don't let that be like a major barrier, because there's ways around it.
It is something that you have to factor in your budget though, obviously, because that's a big expense that hopefully you don't go without, so that would not be something that I would leave out of my budget, figure out a way to cut something else. And I think when you're starting a business, I was super conservative when I started my business, because I was like, okay, I'm only gonna spend money where I have to, but you do have to spend money to make money, and that's kind of a scary concept to grasp. Like, I invested a lot of money up front in marketing, but it's paid off. But our insurance, my husband and I are both self-employed now, and so our insurance was a line item on our budget that just, I was gonna cut other things, but that wasn't gonna get cut. I did do a ton of research and I shopped around, and I had thyroid cancer, so I have previous health issues that make mine not super cheap, but it just isn't unavoidable,
And the chamber looked into an association plan last year that we didn't get enough people to say yes, but we are looking at that again right now and joining in with other chambers. So it looks like something's probably gonna happen on that front. You just have to have at least 1.5 employees to be able to take that, and it's fairly affordable. So that might be something in the future as well that's an option. So
there are other, depending on what, and I would love to know what every single one of you have ideas for your business, but depending on what it is, realtors are self-employed, but there is like an association where you can pay into like a pool where you get a little bit cheaper insurance, and I know that that's the case for some other fields as well, so that might be something to look into.
And K-State Extension also offers a service to help you maneuver through the marketplace too, right here over at the courthouse.
we have time for a few more questions.
You've got to like.
Jimmy, I thought you were raising your hand.
Okay, so this may not be really a good question, but we'll just put it out there because I'm sure people are wondering this as well. So I've done some things in the past on my own businesses. My husband has a business, and I'm kind of like the person in the background that you never see because I'm not going to go do construction. So now I'm kind of in a crossroads, and I want to start a business of my own that's me, not my husband. So yeah, you know how it is. So how do you find what you want to do?
I will say.
Anybody else got that? I can think of a million things, and I can write down list after list after list, but somewhere you have to go, okay, this is what I really want to do.
Yeah, so I think that as women, inherently, our nature is to like support everybody else and support everybody else's dreams. And okay, honey, you want to do that? Let's do it. But anybody who knows me, I'm pretty bold. I know. So my husband from day one knows I get the craziest ideas in my head, and he also knows not dare he try to stunt them because I'm just going to do it anyway. And so I think having a supportive partner is huge. He might think my ideas are crazy, but he has not one time shot me down. And although I am the face of things, so to speak, I could not do what I do without my husband and without the support of my husband. So For us, we had rental properties, we property managed some places, we had flipped some homes. So real estate was something that we both kind of had a similar interest in, but if you put my husband in a room of people, he is just fine not talking to anybody. And so
That sounds so familiar.
he was not going to be the face of anything, but logistically, he's a huge support for me. He probably doesn't get enough credit. But I think the first step is just finding something you're passionate about and taking the steps to see, is this viable? Can I make a business out of this? And maybe it's not a full-time business, but maybe you start on the side doing something that you really enjoy, and then you grow it, consistently from there. So girl, do your thing. You deserve
I've
to do
had
your
a
thing.
boutique. I've had a boutique where I had a shop, but I also took it on the road. My husband's a team roper, so we're gone all the time. And I got tired of sitting in stands, me and the wife sitting here going, "Are you up yet?" Because I'm sitting here. And so I set up, just took my boutique on the road, and it was great and it was fun. It's just the maneuvering of, I know I need a whole trailer to haul everything I got. You gotta have a trailer to haul the horses. So there you go. Yeah, I know. Well, you can only hook on so many things.
I think Dacia had something to say on
Yeah,
that.
I started to say that Dacia can be a good resource with helping decide, throwing out what you're passionate about. Like she said earlier, you do have to register as a client because she has to track her numbers and what she does. So you register as a client and then meet with her. And
Yes, and I was just gonna pop up here and say, do not feel like you are wasting my time. If you wanna come to me with an idea, if we work through the business plan, if we work through cash flows and you're like, I just don't think that's what I wanna do. I went through it in my mind, that's a success too. Like, if we go through the process and you decide, maybe that's not what I wanna do, maybe this isn't viable, success all the way. Because we've kept you from getting into something that you may not have been successful at. So don't feel, I know people are like, I hate to come to you, I don't wanna waste your time. Well, that's what I'm here for. That's what the SBDC is all about. I see somebody pointing over there. Don't be afraid to come to me, because Jody and I and Lindsay, people come and they want to be there. We get it. We get people saying, I just want to do my own thing, but I don't really know what it is.
we've met with several people like that. I want to buy this building downtown, but I have no idea what I would put it. Or somebody that makes something, and then we recommended, we'll sell some of your things on consignment, local stores that do consignment, and find out, what is popular, what sells the most, or, and before you just go large scale into opening a whole storefront with that item when it really isn't even, selling that much. And so can offer, different advice or what would be most profitable and those types of things.
For myself, the pork rinds, we kind of stumbled upon that and then it grew from there. But I love the pork rinds and I will always pursue that and grow our family business. And I have a 5-year business plan and a 10-year business plan that took me maybe 6 months to write. We looked up feasibility studies. If you're not familiar with that word, look that up and figure out what it is, because is it feasible to start this business or is it gonna tank? There's different things and different companies that can help you look up that. But when it came to my other 2 businesses that I started, one January 18th, the protein place in Iola, and then I took over part ownership of Hound Nutrition here in town on March 1st. So my husband, again, he was really supportive. He just thinks I'm a little bit crazy. He's like, wait, we already have the pork rinds and your plate's already full. But that was where my passion was at. The pork rinds right now provide me with my income, and I love our customers, and I love growing that business, and I love that we built it with our 2 hands, literally from the ground up. But my passion is different than just providing snack foods for somebody. My passion is to help people in, their weight loss and all that. So that's how come I chose to go down that path. So we didn't start out thinking, oh, this was gonna be what we're gonna do, and this is what I'm really passionate about, pork rinds. Like, it wasn't that I just love pork rinds, it just so happened to be that that was the catalyst for other things that now allow me to have what I'm super passionate about, which is helping people, you know, in their weight loss journey or muscle, you know, muscle mass, whatever it may be, because that's something I struggled with my entire life. And so that's something that I'm passionate about. My husband and I, we're always bouncing ideas, like how can we source doing this or hire someone to do this so that we can start this. My husband absolutely loves to cook, and so he has kicked around the idea 100 times of opening like a southern fried foods place, like catfish, cornbread, collard greens, that kind of thing. And it may never come to fruition, but that's what he's passionate about. But right now, growing this business is where we're at, and that's what we're gonna continue to do. So it may be something that you stumble upon later, you know, through other things, like going and supporting your husband. You may find that, well, there's something like a necessity. So just real quickly as well, one thing that I thought of several years ago that is now here in town, and I'm sure we've all kind of thought of this, is, man, I hate laundry, I hate doing laundry, I hate folding it, I can put it in the washing machine all day long, but I sure don't like folding it or putting it away. Like, I just despise it, and literally. And so I thought, man, it'd be really cool if somebody could come to your house and pick up your laundry and do your laundry, because you can't really pay somebody to come and sit while it's in the wash. You know what I mean? That's not feasible. And now we have the washateria here in town. And so they come, they pick up your laundry, they do your, you know, your laundry for you. You can tell them what you want pressed, what you want. So it's finding things that are a necessity or a need. So if you think and you calculate things in your own brain, like what's something I really need at the house done, or what's something in life that would be really, really cool to have, but I just don't have enough arms and legs to get it done. And that right there can branch off into other things and grow other businesses out of necessity.
Couple more minutes. Another question?
You've got 3 open books up here.
And we'll stick
Anyone
around
from the
too,
back?
because I know that sometimes you don't wanna call out in a room full of people, so I'll stick around for a
Okay.
little while.
I want to know more about the Instagram for Dummies book and how much it helped you, because I am a whiz on Facebook, but Instagram is like, and I've tried hiring it out, you just can't get good help these days, you know? It's like, well,
And
so
it's usually
how-
pretty expensive whenever you do that. So
Yes.
the Instagram for Dummies, I read it and I highlighted it. I took it on vacation, I took it to ball
Can I have
games.
your?
And yeah,
There's a lot of workshops online, like online classes you can do that are like an hour or 2 hours long, and they don't even cost you anything.
Yes, and I can give those, I'm sure we have your email address, but I actually just signed up for one today through SBA, and it is an online marketing. And that's another thing. I've never mastered anything. I just knew what worked for us, and I continue to say, oh, I should try that.
Well, and there's such ever-changing beasts. I mean, Facebook,
Yes.
Instagram, and all of TikTok now, and all of those things are ever-changing beasts, but they're so important.
And being a small
And I hate
business
them
owner
important, but they're important.
requires you to be a jack of all trades.
It
So
does.
you're the marketing person, you're the logistics person, you're the operations director, all in one.
The web designer.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something also, that if you're gonna learn Instagram and you know Facebook, make sure you set up your accounts where, like, if you post on Instagram, it automatically posts on Facebook. Then you don't have to go do it again and again and again. You do it once and it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And then make sure you know the do's, like the words, like you're talking about selling. There are words that work on Facebook and words that do not. So you wanna know those.
Yeah, and we do really well on Facebook, actually.
And
I cannot make that
transition.
over.
And
It was-
And I'm in my 40s, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I say in October we'll talk more about it, but the way that the algorithms work is, and if you don't know the word the algorithm, look it up, but it's a fancy word for how much stuff shows up in your news feed on social media. So, for instance, at the Hound Nutrition, when someone comes in and they buy a meal replacement shake, like a chocolate chip cookie dough, and they're eating that for lunch, we say, hey, would you like to check in on social media, on Instagram? Because Instagram is owned by Facebook, so it all ties together. So we say, if you check in, we'd be happy to give you $1 off today. So what that does is anybody who has liked our page on Facebook or Instagram, that should show up in their algorithm once they check in to our location. Like you've heard online, you can check in. So like tonight, if none of you have done it, you really should do it. You should go to our small business, to our website, and you should actually, we all marked that we were going to the event. You need to check into the event, because what that does is show up on your news feed, and then other people are gonna say, hey, what was that thing you were at the other night? You see what I mean? And these aren't massive secrets, it's just the little tweaks. All we need you to do is mark that you're not just going, but mark that you actually checked in and that you came here. So then that shows up and everybody sees it. And that is something that I'm super, super excited and passionate about the online marketing and sales, because our website, when I first started, I didn't know a thing about it. I actually went to school for nursing and then failed out, so don't quit, because you never know what your calling is. But my very first time thinking about social media or thinking about online marketing and things like that, I actually learned to build our website through watching YouTube videos. I didn't have a budget to hire somebody to build our website, and so I just watched YouTube videos. And then I learned how to do that, and then from there we learned a little bit more, and then from there we updated our graphics, and then from there we did a little bit more. You know, we kept doing and adding to. So it wasn't that anybody built it for me or, you know, taught me. It's just that I took the initiative, and the information's out there. It's kind of like, how bad do you really want it? Have you came to the place in life where you feel content, or do you want more, or, you know, what are you gonna do? Because that's just where I was. I was like, no, we want more. We don't want to just sell at fairs and festivals. I have the approval to sell online. We want to sell online, so let's do this. And we kept going from there.
Awesome. Well, Kate and her husband are new to town and gonna be opening a studio over where Hammond's Realty used to be, next door to the radio station, and classes, pottery, and all kinds of fun stuff. So their page is 8 North National to follow
The group, yeah.
their group
Yeah,
to follow the progress on their building and fun stuff. So go like that as well. But thank you all for coming tonight. Grab some extra food if you want and swag, and join us on October 6th.
And Dacia says she'll stick around afterwards for a while.
Dacia will be here for a little bit afterwards. Thank you all for coming.